Okay, I'm finally going to do this review on obviously the Crosman Night stalker. This is probably one of my more preferred guns in my collection. I don't really use it for serious target shooting. I use it for tactical rifle drills and shooting on the move and rapid fire. But I think you'd be satisfied with it for target shooting at 10 yards or so. I don't know if you can see on the camera too well, but this gun's made out of the frame is made out of plastic. It's not the nicest quality plastic like some of the X guns. Like for instance, a very similar looking gun to this is the Beretta CX4 Storm CO2 rifle. It's made out of a much nicer plastic than this. This is a relatively cheap type of plastic, but it doesn't feel fragile. But it doesn't feel like a Glock handgun or anything. So they could have picked a better kind of plastic. But again, this is really inexpensive for a repeating gun. The Beretta CX4 Storm is also a repeater gun, and it costs about $250 Canadian or so. This cost about $128. So this is a lot cheaper, and it's, from what I've heard, it's actually more accurate. I've never fired a Beretta CX4 Storm, but I've heard that this gun's a little more accurate. The advantage the CX4 has is that it has a 30 round magazine, where this only has a 12 round magazine. Anyway, as far as I know, most of the internal parts are made out of plastic. I know that there is some metal internal parts. The barrel is metal. I believe the trigger mechanism is also metal. But the arm that rotates the CO2, the pellet magazines, I believe that's plastic. And that's probably a part that should be metal, but they didn't make it metal, they made it plastic, which probably wasn't the best choice on Crosman's part, but that's the way it is. But so far I haven't had any problems with it. As I said before, this gun is quite accurate. Unfortunately I didn't do an accuracy test for this gun for this review. I probably should have. Right now I don't have any CO2 cartridges left, so I can't do one now. I usually shoot this at a 2.5 inch target rapid fire at 15 yards, and it's very accurate for that, and I use it for shooting on the move at big tin cans at 15 yards, and I find it to be pretty accurate, especially for a CO2 repeater gun and for a gun of this price. Like it's far more accurate than any other CO2 repeater guns I have. Like this is my only repeating rifle, but I have a couple repeating pellet pistols, and they're not nearly as accurate as this. They don't have the power or the range, and at closer ranges this is still even more accurate than those. So I'm very pleased with this gun. The only complaint I have about it is what it uses for a power source, really, and they're these big 88 gram CO2 cartridges. These are quite expensive. You can buy 2 of them. I buy them at Canadian Tire. You can also order them off the internet. They come in packs of 2, and they're about $16.99 for a pack of 2 Canadian. So that is kind of pricey, but you do get about I'd say probably 350 to 400 shots of them, so you do get a lot of shots. And this gun is blowback, and you still get a lot of shots, which is what makes the trigger so nice. But as I was talking about reliability, when I first got this gun, I wasn't seating the pellets all the way into the magazine. I was just putting them in until they're flush with the edges of the magazine. Whenever you do that, you will have jams, inevitably, and eventually you get to have a lot of jams per magazine, like 4 or 5. The most I had was 7. This is a 12 round magazine, and so what I do is I put the pellets in flush, and I take a small Allen key and just put a little bit of pressure on them until they go just below the surface of the magazine. And that seems to work just fine, because ever since I've been doing that I haven't had one jam. So it is very reliable. As I said, these are 12 round magazines. They're made out of plastic as well, which doesn't really bother me. The X CO2 pistol magazines are made out of metal, which is nice. But I don't think these, unless you're really abusing your gun and throwing these around, I don't think you're going to damage them. Oh, jeez, I can't hold on to anything today. The gun comes with 4 of these. It says on, I got this gun from dlairguns.com, and this is not the 600 feet per second American version of this gun. This is 495 feet per second. Anyway, DL Airgun says that this gun only comes with 2 of these, but it does come with 4. And it also comes with a bit with 1 CO2 cartridge for it. There is some accessories for this gun. In Canada, I haven't found anywhere that sells the Night Stalker TK, which is basically this exact same gun, but it comes with a red dot sight and 2 side rails for the stock and a bipod. Any clamp-on bipod will go onto this gun. And if you were to buy accessory rails, you could probably mount an accessory rail for a flashlight or a laser on here, no problem. But I didn't go for anything. What I went for is, I spent 90 bucks on this Trigicon ACOG replica. This is a really great scope. You can find these all over eBay if you type in ACOG, or you get even more results if you just type in 4x32 scope. And these are really durable. They keep their zero very well, and they just look really cool, I think. This ACOG, like I said, it cost me about 90 bucks. I found it on eBay. It took a while to get here because they come from Hong Kong. Most of the ACOG replicas out there come from Hong Kong, and a lot of them aren't as cheap as this one. Like, I found ACOG scopes on eBay that are basically, look exactly the same as this. I don't know if they're the same brand, but they look exactly the same as this, and they cost 150. So you really have to shop around to get a good deal. But I'm very pleased with this, and it's full metal, and it even has the Trigicon branding on it right here, which is kind of neat. It is only a 4-power scope, but like I said, I use this gun for tactical drills, so you don't want something that has a lot of magnification, so because you won't be able to acquire your target as fast, and that's what I do with this gun. I do speed drills, basically. And the way this scope is mounted on here, I don't know if you can see this, but this gun has 11mm dovetail rails cut into the top of it. The only thing is this ACOG has a Weaver base. It does come with a dovetail base, but it only fits 3/8 dovetail, so they don't work with these rails. So what I had to do is I mounted a UTG Weaver or Picatinny, a dovetail to Weaver adapter. These are inexpensive. I paid maybe 15-20 bucks for this. You can find them almost any airgun site. This is, like I said, this is a UTG. It's sold under the Leaper's name, but it works really good. It's full metal. Never had any problems with it. I originally, whenever I first got this gun, I had a red dot mounted on it, but I didn't like it as much. I bought the ACOG, and I think it was a really good choice. As I mentioned before, the trigger on this gun is quite nice. Because it's blowback, it's light. It has a small, it's not really a 2-stage trigger, but there is a point in the trigger pull, I'll show you, where you pull it, and then it stops a little bit, and it just takes a little bit of pressure to make it trip, and then it goes off. So it doesn't affect me in rapid fire too much. But for a CO2 repeater of this price, this has an excellent trigger as far as I'm concerned. As far as triggers in the grand scheme of things go, it could be better, but you can't beat it for the price. And the open sights, or the Crosman's Mohawk sighting system, I'm not really crazy about it, both the looks and the actual functionality of it. It is a peep sight, which is good. The only problem is, at least for me, maybe for someone smaller than me it wouldn't be a problem, but whenever I put my cheek on this stock and I try to look through the open sights, I really have to tilt my head in an awkward angle to see through the sights because they're too low. They should be a little bit higher, which is why I put the red dot on there and eventually replaced it with this ACOG. But I think if you buy this gun, you'll be really pleased with it. You can't beat it for the price, really. Like, it's just an excellent deal. Like I said, I bought this on dlairguns.com. That's the only Canadian site I found that carries this gun. They're based out of BC, and they ship all over Canada. And you really can't go wrong with this. I really recommend it.